So a lot of people in my life often ask me, dude, how exactly did you end up figuring out how to speak and how to understand another language, especially alone? And my advice for anyone who wants to speak in a language, okay, I kind of thought this really quickly when I first started learning my language. And the thought I kind of had was, wow, I think that if you were like a boss, right? If you were a boss, if I was like, say I was a boss in English, when I say boss, I just mean like a person of power, a high up guy. I don't think I would have been able to learn another language. I really think that this key secret to learning another language is like if you just kind of feel, I really think you have to feel kind of displaced. I think that you have to feel not only kind of displaced where you are, but I think you also have to feel humble. Like you just have to be willing to be dumb, I guess you could say, right? And I think that, and you have to go back to you have to kind of lose your ego. So I think a lot of people often say, like, you'll meet people who are like 40 or 50 years old, and they're like, I'm trying to start learning a language now. And and I think there's a reason why it happens when people are middle aged because people just get humbled by then. You know what I'm saying? The world beats the hell out of you. And then by the time you're like 40 or 50 years old, you're just like, oh, I'm down to learn another language. The thing is, and it's kind of harder then, but the thing is, I think you have to let go of your ego a little bit to learn another language because you're going to be really stupid in it, right? You're going to be really, really stupid. So actually, though, at first I was kind of like, say, all right, I'll give you an example. Now, a lot of people say to me too, they're like, yo, dude, but you don't even live in the country of your language, so why did you learn it, right? Of your chosen language to learn. So what was the point of learning it if you're not going to live there? Well, there's a huge point. The things that I can enjoy in my target language are totally different than what I can enjoy in English. In English, I'm not gonna say I'm Albert Einstein, you know what I'm saying, but I enjoy pretty high up stuff in English, right? Um, we're reading. I don't want to read the basic book. I want to read the most difficult books. I want to read the philosophy books or something. I want to, when I listen to songs, I want to listen to like the greatest word smiths ever. Like even with something like rap music, right? It's so hard for me now. Do you know how much rap music I've heard in English? It's so hard for me now to find rap music that is awesome to hear in English. Like I'm very selective. When it comes to my target language, everything is amazing. And especially when I first started learning it. Was it a little annoying at first? Yes, it was because I didn't understand a lot of stuff. But it was like a mystery. Like it was crazy to hear new words, to find new words. So it was very exciting because when you're speaking just one language, like English, English was dry for me. Like I was, for instance, always when I was in high school, I wrote a ton of poetry. And as the years went on, I started, and I read a lot of poetry, and I read a lot of words. I just read a lot of books. You know what I'm saying? As the years went on, everything started to seem so dry, as I'm saying, in English. It just started to seem so dry when I would read stuff. And when I was writing, it would seem so dry. It'd be like, dude, you're saying the same thing over and over again. You're using the same words to describe these things, so on and so forth, right? You're using the same rhymes. Like a rapper would say, yo, he keeps using the same rhymes. This dude's rhymes, they played out. They're played out, you know? And I when I learned another language though, all of a sudden, poetry that I was writing myself, like I would translate it into the other language, my target language, even just using Google Translate. Like if it's like a simple stuff, you could translate it on there, right? And I translate it myself too sometimes, or I'd have a friend, an Italian friend, translate it for me, and like I would read my poetry in that other language. It was incredible. I can't even describe how high it got me. And if now, for the past like 2 years, since I learned my target language, right? Because I learned my target language about 2 years ago, my writing in English has just like it has soared. It has gone off the wall because learning another language and hanging out in it. Like I hung out in Italian solely for so long. Every movie I watched was in Italian. Every newspaper I read was in Italian. Every poet book, everything I read was in Italian for a long time. I don't want to play it right. And all the music and everything. And then when I came back to English after an extended stay, it was just like English was alive again for me. It was alive again. It was new. It was fresh. I started to understand the beauty of English. So, and that takes us back to you have to be humble. And again, like I just think if I had been a boss in English, I really don't think I would have. I don't think I would have been able to learn Italian because I would have had no interest in the language. I would have just been like, I don't want to be a little, dwarf boy in another language. I'm a boss, I'm a master, and I'm a king in English. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm up here, man. Why would I ever want to go back down there? Why would I ever want to do that? And I found great joy though, because when I learned another language, guess what? I was like a little boy again, and I liked it. I didn't mind that. I liked being a little boy on an adventure again. So I think that's what you have to take into account. Like I didn't mind going back to level one again. I didn't mind being a jackass, and I started to find incredible things in Italian that like I never would have appreciated in English. For instance, my love of rap music was reinvigorated because I started listening to it in Italian. As I said, my love of just regular singers. Like in English, I'm obsessed with very particular music, as I said, right? But in Italian, I listen to like pop music, just like the dumbest pop music ever, and it's so awesome. I have so much fun. It's stuff that I wouldn't ever like permit myself to enjoy in English. You see, I just can't stress that enough. I'm able to enjoy other stuff in the language that I'm not able to enjoy in my own. It even made movies better, like movies that I would never have watched in 1,000 years. I would watch in Italian and just be like cracking up, loving it, just because it was like I was a little boy again. So that's my advice again though is that you really got to be humble. That's it. All you have to do is be humble, and you'll learn. And don't even. My philosophy is fuck grammar rules. Fuck the whole thing. I mean, unless you're looking to write in the tongue, which I write to my buddies and stuff on chat in Italian, and I did a few times write. I probably wrote like a 10-page story once, and I lost unfortunately, but it was like about a wizard, or something. Un stregone. That's how you say wizard in Italian. Un stregone. Io ho visto stregone. I think that's how you say it, right? But I wrote about a wizard in Italian, and I wrote poetry, as I said, translated and everything. But really, for the most part, I'm not looking to write like a masterpiece in Italian. If I live another 40 years or some shit, I suppose maybe I would try to write something in it. But for the most part, I'm happy writing in English. I just like to read my stuff back sometimes in Italian because like it just puts a different spin on it, brings it to life another way. So it's fucking totally irrelevant. Like I could go live in Nebraska and I'd still want to learn another language. It has nothing to do with the people. Trust me, actually having conversations with real people in the language, although it was very beneficial in the beginning. Is that word right? Even in English, I don't know. Beneficial? Was it right? Is that even a word? I don't know. But it was very nice to talk with others, real people, real Italians in the beginning. But then now their conversations like that just got boring because what happened? I moved up in the language, right? So now, at first I was having the time of my life. Like I'd say like level 3 or level 4 is like the time of your life, right? But now I'm on like level 10. I can read. Like I read a few Stephen King books in Italian, and all right, so I'll give you an example of this, right? I can read Stephen King in Italian, more or less. Edgar Allan Poe, something from the 1800s. If I was to start to read H.G. Wells, if I was to start to read, of course, most of my favorites, I can't, but I can read the bestsellers in Italian. But yeah, just gotta be humble, I don't know. So that's my advice. If you're trying to learn a language, that's my advice.